And welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. This is Winged Radicals. I'm Peyton. He's Mike.
Hey, everybody.
So, we're not streaming, right?
We're not streaming.
I'm just up there seeing myself for no reason.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Sorry, everyone.
So I can make sure nothing happens.
You know what? I know you're dying to show me some stupid fucking Biden clip, so let's just get right to it and let's hear it.
Some stupid fucking Biden clip. All right.
What did he say this week?
I join you on this solemn day to renew our sacred vow. Never forget. Never forget. We never forget. Each of us, each of those precious lives stolen too soon when evil attacked. Ground Zero in New York, and I remember standing there the next day and looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell. It looked so devastating because from where you could stand. Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the Pentagon in Virginia. I spent many 9/11s in those hallowed grounds.
I mean, that's the part, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Live reaction. Who cares? No. So apparently he was not actually there the next day. He was there 9 days later. So we don't know if he's a lying whatever pony soldier.
A lying dog-faced pony.
We don't know if it's that or just his senile memory. What do you think? Do you think he just fucking forgot? It's all a haze.
You see it at first and you're like, well, what a scumbag. And then I'm kind of like, well, he's old, so he probably thinks he was there. He was there at some point, or maybe he saw a picture of it, and maybe he's just confused and thought he was there. And then you read like he was there 9 days later. He's probably doing a lot of shit, you know, like in general, like his whole career. He's done a lot of things, been a lot of places. Like 9 days probably felt like 10 minutes, you know, like he might have thought it was the next day.
Once again, I appreciate your honesty there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't view this one just in my gut. I don't think this was like a straight bald-faced lie. I mean, it was obviously untrue. I don't think he meant to just lie because it's easily verifiable and no purpose in lying about it.
Right.
But it could be his just like tendencies at this point for lying because he does it so often and so much in his whole career. It could just be like his muscle reflex is just to fucking roll with it and just lie.
Like,
I don't know what
I could lie right here. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's go with that one. Like, who cares? I'm already president. What are they going to do?
Impeach me?
So yeah. Anyway,
he was what was he? He was speaking in the Senate, I think, about related things the day after 9/11. Mm-hmm. And there's video of him that I've seen posted with the date stamped on there and shit. Right. So, I mean, he was doing shit. He wasn't just like, I don't give a fuck. And then he went. So I mean,
that whole clip could be AI. I don't even know.
This one?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. Or for all I know.
Yeah.
You know, if I was going to play, like, stick my head in the sand MAGA style, I don't know.
Stick MAGA.
This is AI. How do we know? How do we know that this is him? We know people act as him. That could have been an actor. Is there some weird cord behind his ear? Is his skin wrinkled up strangely?
The earlobe.
I don't know. The earlobe?
The earlobe's the
Does
zipper.
Does he have a sticky earlobe today? Is there a zipper? Who knows? I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying who knows?
He just forgot to tuck his earlobe into his skin suit. That's what it is. Yeah. I mean, it could be AI.
So other than that, I mean, he's been a phenomenal president. And I actually mean that for the most part. But that's just me and my.
It is just you.
My completely socialist bias.
Before, in case you're trying to segue out of this,
okay. Go ahead.
Can I? I gotta do something.
I was sort of trying to
get
out of this hole I'm digging.
No, I don't think you're digging it.
Nah, no.
I think.
No! Don't drop this one.
Remember the famous song, you know, "Good Morning Vietnam." Well, good evening, Vietnam. My brother loves having. There's famous lines from movies that he always quotes. You know, and one of them is there's a movie about John Wayne. He's an Indian scout. The Indian looks at John Wayne and points to the Union soldier and says, "He's a lion dog-faced pony soldier." Well, there's a lot of lion dog-faced pony soldiers out there about global warming, but not anymore. I'm just following my orders here. Staff, is there anybody haven't spoken to? I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
I don't see any problems yet.
Thank you, everybody.
What was wrong with this?
I'm just taking
was peak Biden.
I'm just following my orders here as he flips through his note cards.
He just says shit like that.
I
He's
know.
just being funny.
I know. It was funny. This is the last one.
That was actually endearing him to me. I mean, I feel like better about him now.
You feel better about him?
That was nice. I just, this old man, I love him.
Overall, we
What can I
talked
say?
about stability. We talked about making sure that
I hate this
the third world, the southern hemisphere had access to change it, had access. It wasn't confrontational at all. He came up to me and said,
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
they hit the music on his ass like the fucking Oscars.
They played him off, man. They're like, bro, get the fuck out of here. That whole time I forgot to switch over. No one saw what we saw.
Did you see the clip? There was a clip I saw of Ducey from Fox News fame, and he says he's like, yeah, the president was up all night handling this and that, and I think he's just tired or something like that. And it was kind of like, I don't know all the context, but the caption was like, oh, I think Ducey may have just slipped up and kind of like messed up the whole sort of like talking point of his network, which is that he's senile and not that he would be possibly staying up all night working and talking through things. But anyway.
All right.
I think we had more on Biden, but of a different kind.
We do.
What was our next sort of thing here?
He's a piece of shit, man. Like, him and this fucking astronomical border crossings.
Oh yeah, so I did see that our numbers are up huge with Mexican families, like specifically, not just crossings at the Mexican border, but I think they're talking about Mexican families. The number of crossings are up like in the tens of thousands over the last few months, and like in like 2019 it was like 6,000 or something for like the year or something like that, and that was like astronomical.
Not 6,000 for the year.
Well, maybe it's 6,000 a month or something. It was just Mexican families, not all Mexican
families.
border crossings.
Okay.
But whatever the number was, it was like a high number for that year, and now it's like totally trumps that by far. And so
So they had 91,000 border crossings in this past August, which broke all monthly records that we've ever had. That's the top absolute worst. It's a lot. Right?
Although, I mean, that wasn't just the Mexican families, though, right?
No, that's all.
That was total.
That's
right?
total.
And
total. So that's probably why our numbers. I was shocked at your low number because you're talking about Mexicans exclusively and their families, not individuals. So
but just in the Mexican families, it was kind of like tens of thousands. I read.
Yeah.
Versus a few thousand a few years ago, which was a lot at that time. So anyway, the point being was that apparently because of the CBP app. The CBP One app, apparently that they created to sort of like help them come in and schedule like a hearing without having to be detained. They were trying to not have all the detainments and the whole picture of cages, or maybe not just that, but they didn't want to have to figure out a way to house them all.
So they want the cages, just not the pictures of the cages.
So they tried to streamline it, which we kind of looked at as a positive at first, that they had this plan. We're not detaining them all. But, of course, unfortunately, that works as a carrot, and now that means that much more are going to view this as an opportunity because the smugglers and so forth are able to quickly get information to people in Mexico about our policies changing. And so they're dealing with their problems in Mexico and the cartels and all this, and this is opportunity. So, and I don't even know, I suppose conventional wisdom says this is a bad thing. I don't really even know. Like, I kind of always revert back to this. I'm not trying to defend it. It's
fentanyl,
not.
man.
It's not.
It's all about the fentanyl.
Let's hold off on fentanyl for a second. It's not. We have record of them coming. Like if we have the numbers and we're apprehending them, or we have records of them and they're coming in a way that we know they're coming in and they're scheduling the hearing. I guess I'm not going to say that I'm naive to think that they're all showing up for the hearing.
That's my problem with that argument.
Okay, so, but again, like, what if we did have an open border? Would that necessarily be bad? I don't know. I guess I am against it because I believe in having a process where we can vet people, know how many people are here, do it in an orderly way. Not an unlimited spigot type of way. Spigot. Yeah. So
Spigot, yeah.
yeah. So it's not. I mean, so the border thing is always a messy thing to talk about, but I guess we're just trying to update people on some recent information that the numbers are still super high.
So you heard it here. Peyton is against migrants across the board. No, yeah, I don't. I know you always make the, you're like, oh well, those are apprehensions, those are good, right? And I'm like, well, fuck, yeah, that's a good argument, but like I don't like it, like because I'm wondering what percentage of apprehensions versus encounters or non-apprehend, like who's getting through, you know? Yeah. Like, do we have a 99% success rate? Because then fuck yeah, like who cares what the number is if we're catching them all.
At any rate, it is hard for me to blame sort of like say Biden. Like I will say that I don't put this in any category when I'm thinking about voting in 24 and what I'm looking at. The border to me is like a clusterfuck side issue that I'm not even putting in there. And I'm not saying that's fair. I wanted to see what you thought about it.
Oh, I would say you can't pin it on Biden. Like it's been a lingering issue that's been going on, you know, it predates Biden. It was going on during Trump, but I think
Trump had the benefit of Title 42 as well. Now
he did, yeah.
Biden doesn't.
Yeah, he did. So it's something that I feel like has been long ignored by a lot of people in the position. Yeah. Now it feels particularly ignored right now, but maybe that's just because I'm on the other side and I can say, well, you're ignoring it, you know, you know, party non-power thing that you always bring up. So I don't know. I still think it's his fault and that he should do something. And like, I mean, everyone should do something, right? He has no problem pushing all this climate change shit that's not feasible in 5 years. You know, that's impossible. But they're fucking doubling down, tripling down on that shit. No problems with that. Can we like deal with this a little bit? You know, try a little bit harder? Yeah, we could. You know, put some of that old man energy into it. But yeah, what do you do? Right?
Yeah. So
Kamala's got it.
The fentanyl thing you were bringing up. I read about that recently as well, which is to say it is mostly coming from Mexico, at least as far as how it gets directly into the United States. The precursors we understand to mostly be, or a lot to be, from China. This could be an overt or covert type of active kind of war. Not an active war, but this is sort of, maybe China's sort of like
poison their population.
This is not, but most of the vast majority of the fentanyl coming into the United States from Mexico, yes, but it's coming through legal ports of entry. And so
I didn't believe that until today.
And so you now do trust this.
I read a couple articles that say it, and it seems likely. Numbers were saying over 90% of this is the thing, though. There's a caveat here, but 90% of seizures, fentanyl seizures, happen at legal ports of entry. And more shocking is that over 50% of those seizures are by U.S. citizens, that are smuggling. So these smugglers, more than 50% of them are U.S. citizens already. So this throws the whole thing for like a tailspin. Like, what is happening? Like that's the crazy part to me. Not so much the percentage of seizures through the legal ports of entry, but that they're U.S. citizens. Perfect
time to plug the show that people are already listening to if they're hearing this right now. But like that's one reason why you might listen to us. It's like you're lean conservative. In many ways, I actually do too.
Yeah.
But this is the type of thing that you have to include in any realistic conversations about these issues. Like, how do you deal with that? I assume you can't stop every truck at the border at a legal port of entry and check every package, every box, every can of soup for this substance that is easily hidden and transferable, and small quantities add up to a lot in terms of the marketplace. A small
that was another thing, was that I'm reading that there you picture like these drug busts or drug seizures as like this, you fucking got a box truck and you just nailed like billions in fentanyl. You know, you see them with their guns and the pictures like back in the day with Escobar and shit.
Yeah.
But it's like a person will come run by with like 1,000 pills in their pocket, you know, like some small amount in a baggie, 100 pills here, 100 pills there. And it's so many smugglers are coming through in low volumes that, yes, that piles up into this big, huge amount, but you're not busting a ton at a time. You know, you'll get a couple little ones here, but the rest of it's just going through in small amounts and from unsuspecting people.
Yeah, and you can't stop people from it's so lucrative. You're never going to stop people from risking it. Unless you literally start like chopping people's hands off or heads off
doing something brutal, right?
You'd have to do something brutal. We're probably not going to do that. I would be in support of something like that. That's sort of my conservative side of me.
Jail them for like a long time.
You just start putting out the word like, get caught with this, But then we've got jails. Who knows how many people got in jail that we're having to pay for life or for however many years.
They're talking about doing like the detention centers all along the border cities in Texas. That's already going to stress Texas out.
And so I do think that's where you could have Biden, at least politically, get out there and say something.
Yeah.
Why are you leaving the vacuum open to the Republicans politically? I have no idea. Like, get out there and just say something. Come up with some sort of plan.
They just ignore the issues they don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm not condoning to just give lip service to it, but I'm saying actually, formulate some sort of plan. Show that you're trying to do something, I guess. Or
say you're not doing anything about it. Like, I would take that too over nothing. Like,
sure,
look, hey, we got more pressing shit. I hear you. It's a big deal. I got this going on and this going on. Like, we got shit going on, people. Okay.
Yeah.
Even tell the Republicans, be like, you don't make my life any easier by doing all these fucking inquiries and all this bullshit. Like, fucking, maybe I could spend some time at the border if you leave me the fuck alone. Say something.
Yeah. So, is that a segue into inquiries?
Well, no, almost.
Okay.
It was perfect, but I want to say, so where I said there was a caveat with it was those are seizures of the drug. So you're saying, we're saying 90%.
We're basing it off of what we know to be seized.
Yeah, so what if a big box truck full of like a full year's shipment of U.S. fentanyl made it through and no one noticed? And that came through the border. So that's now not 90% of the fentanyl came through the port of entry. There's also fentanyl that we don't know about. We're trying to use the stuff that we find to approximate the amount that we don't find, and that's not always going to work out. So they could have an awesome tunnel or a route in through an illegal port of entry, and they could all be illegals and not U.S. citizens, and the stats just don't capture them because they're good at their job and haven't got caught. So that's maybe, where we
seems like probably
there's a lot of land. Man. You watch Fast Forward? Fuck.
It's probably not going to be a big change in the numbers, because I don't think most of those people being muled across the border illegally are like also pocketing and holding, all this fentanyl on their person. You know what I'm saying? You don't drive trucks across that, like. But sure, maybe I guess, but I don't think that really adds up. But ultimately, I think it's one of those where unless we like do something on our side of it, whether it be punishment or whether it be legalization of it or something where people can just get it here. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying if we don't, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I'm not saying, but like, it's always, I feel like, going to be coming across. Like, what do you do? It's like start a war with China over the precursors. Like, there's only limited options, unfortunately, a lot of times when it comes to political decisions. It's like you can't just wave a wand.
If we do go to war with them, though, maybe we throw that in, like, and also fuck you for the fentanyl.
Yeah,
like extra bomb.
Yeah,
it's like one extra.
Sure,
and Wuhan 2 for that.
So the inquiry. This is Man, I feel like I have a bit to say about the inquiry. I want to start with the facts, right? If we can here agree to those ground rules.
Biden's been impeached. Fact.
So Biden has not been impeached.
Nope.
An inquiry. What is this about, right? Because you can be impeached with no inquiry. However, most impeachments in history have been followed by an impeachment inquiry. All right. And so basically, this is something where, I guess at least in theory, it opens up a little bit more power to issue, I guess, subpoenas or to question people, if you're Congress, if it is under an impeachment inquiry, rather than just being under some sort of congressional oversight, which is how most of these investigations get done. So the inquiry, at least in theory, is supposed to give them more powers to investigate.
It's like a special counsel.
Number one. Number two, he can do this the speaker.
Who's he? Oh, McCarthy. Yeah.
Okay, because there is some line of thinking that says, well, he must put this before a vote in the full House for there to be an inquiry launched. And that idea comes from, like, under the Trump Department of Justice, there was some sort of memo that suggested that that's what needed to take place, but that's not actually in the Constitution. So that's really probably Trump DOJ, like, BS, for lack of a better word. It's sort of just what they kind of wanted to say, oh, Pelosi, you can't just do that by yourself. But I mean, the other impeachment inquiries were launched under the Democrats by a full vote of the House, not independently by Pelosi.
No, false. The
Okay.
one in 2019, right before the election, was, from what I read, was Pelosi just did it.
If so, doesn't matter to me anyway, because what I'm saying is he has the power to do this. So
McCarthy used that as well, you fucking did it. So because he walked it back. He was like, we shouldn't do that. That's not okay. Pelosi shouldn't have done that. And then like a month later, he's like, fuck it. I'm doing it.
And for months, he has said that he should go through the full vote of the House too. But he now knows that he may not have the votes, but he does still have the pressure from those certain group of Republicans. Yeah. So he politically wants to do this, in my estimation.
I want to clarify, they didn't. There's no confirmation that he didn't have the votes, but it's 2. It only takes 4. So any of those people could, if they were fuzzy about it, it could have gotten past.
Yeah, without a vote, we don't know that there could not have been the votes.
It's not like they all came out and said
that
no.
he would not have done this independently unless he felt that he wouldn't have them.
Way too questionable.
Because there's too many Republicans that are in competitive districts that might face backlash from this. So therefore, and he, as Speaker, doesn't want them to lose their races, so he doesn't want to put them to that vote either, right? He doesn't want to have a vote to where they have to choose sides and F them among Republican voters in those districts or what have you. Anyway,
it could just be bad. He'll just take the heat. He'll do it.
So he'll take the heat because really there isn't much heat for him just doing this, I guess, on his side, and that's the only side he has to really worry about, and that's the side he is worried about because there's those the
Freedom Caucus,
the Freedom Caucus,
the
right?
Gateses,
The Gateses really want him to do this, and they have power, and so he's like, all right, it's time.
I was reading like quotes from a bunch of the people from the Freedom Caucus, and they're like, it doesn't matter. Still a piece of shit. we don't like him. You know, like he's not holding up to his obligations with the spending. They're all about the spending right now.
Yeah.
Spending. And they're like, this doesn't change my opinion of him. Like this is a baby step. I think it was Gates said this is a baby step, and he's not holding up to his obligations at all. Like this doesn't secure his position in any way.
So let's see. Have we covered the facts? I did want to add in that in history, you do have evidence. When you go for an impeachment inquiry and then impeachment, you don't do an inquiry to search for the evidence that you're looking for to be able to impeach.
So they have evidence, or they have enough evidence already for him to be able to launch this inquiry. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is, when you had inquiries in the past, we'll say Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, we'll leave out all the federal judges in history that have been impeached.
Okay.
But those would be also in the camp that I'm saying.
Sure.
But with Clinton, we had like the blue dress with like, the DNA. Okay. With Trump, we had the phone call audio from the Ukraine stuff. With Trump, we had the January 6 quotes and actions and lies leading up to January 6 and the January 6 event itself. We had all those things before the Democrats in the last 2 cases when I was talking about Trump, before they launched an impeachment inquiry that then led to an impeachment. This is basically what will we call a searching.
You're saying this one's unique. You're saying this one doesn't follow suit with those.
I'm saying this does not set a good precedent.
Okay.
Because now basically the bar is, if we're of the opposing party of the president and we want to fish around, we can say we're launching an impeachment inquiry and now have extended powers to like question you, I guess, and subpoena you and so forth like that, when they haven't already, with all the investigations that they've been doing and all the things that they've been looking for, they have not found the quote unquote smoking gun. So now the thinking is, okay, at least what their argument is, because I think this just has to do with politics. I think that's almost obvious.
Yeah, you don't think there's nothing there.
I still think this is just politics. This is, keep questioning Biden, keep this going, appease the Freedom Caucus. That's what I think this is.
Well,
so I'm not saying that they care, but what I'm arguing, I guess, to the American people is this is a bit of a dangerous sort of new, once again, precedent that we're setting. It's legal all the way through, right? He can launch an impeachment inquiry by himself, apparently, unilaterally, if he has the support of the House to do it, to not get removed. He can do this, yes.
They were saying online, it seems like we're getting into this thing now where we're just going to have every 4 years, the year before an election, where we're going to just try to impeach or launch an impeachment inquiry to stir up political shit. Like, it seems like we're in a new phase of politics. You just try to impeach the guy.
And it sounds probably to some like I'm being like hypocritical or something. But again, with Trump, there was like the thing that they impeached him for. They had that information prior to like the inquiry. Yeah. Right now, they don't have anything that like actually connects Biden to anything illegal.
Otherwise, he'd be impeached.
Right. They would already have the information. They would already have done the impeachment thing.
They've been investigating long enough.
So, like, I guess they expect they're going to, like, subpoena some people, question some people. And I don't think that's really going to be an avenue that's going to work anyway, because I think Biden's probably going to have, like, executive privilege arguments. It's going to go into the courts. And I don't know that this is a big enough thing where they're going to side in favor of McCarthy over Biden, because there doesn't seem to be enough there for them to be like, yes, you legitimately have the right to pursue more information.
You mentioned it being it's likely just a political move. I wonder if it's a move in the sense of like, you tie this guy, he's already old, right? That's we talk about, that's kind of not a great thing, but he's at the end of his career, if not past it. So maybe this is just like the nation already doesn't favor him. They might pick him over Trump though, just because they don't like Trump. Maybe we tie him up in a bunch of impeachment stuff, accuse him of a bunch of shit, and then he's all locked up in legal shit like Trump is, and then now all of a sudden Biden's not very desirable for being in legal, distracted and old, and but then you're still with Kamala, fuck, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's
just rough. It's just rough. There's no win.
I don't think it's not like the president gets tied up. It's not like he's really going to have to like hardly do anything.
Mentally, though, he'll be fucking...
It's just that you keep it going in terms of you feed your base and you keep the discussion alive, and...
Yeah, momentum going.
That's the problem with it is, you ought to, at a minimum, have the full House vote. Like, we're now to the point where we're literally... Although I understand that he can do this. Yeah. Like, you're really just unilaterally now launching inquiries.
Well, if what's the alternative for McCarthy though, right? Like, then he gets, ousted? Is that what they keep saying? I mean, it takes one person, right, to say,
I guess that's the threat.
Let's vote, and then as soon as you vote, he's definitely gone.
Not necessarily. How? Because a lot of Democrats may be willing to support him. So if all the Democrats support him,
they're all going to go for Jeffries for sure. They like Jeffries over McCarthy.
I think that they're willing to F over the Gateses of the world. I think there's some quotes out there that are suggesting like, hey,
we'd rather a McCarthy over
Gates. Come here. Not that Gates would become a speaker ever.
No, I know.
Just saying we might choose McCarthy and actually having some semblance of legitimate government over like these Gates trolls wielding the power that they're wielding. But I don't know. Anyway, like the inquiry to you... Is this like because people the line is, well, yeah, they don't have all the information, so that's why they're launching the inquiry so they can get to the information.
I don't even take it like that. My only thing was it's like a milestone. So when I sent you the original thing when I was at the gala last week, and it said they have the votes for the inquiry, whoever Jim Jordan said, we have the votes for the inquiry, and I'm like, that's a sign that enough people are now in support of the impeachment inquiry. I'm like, this is good. You got votes. You got the majority. All the Republicans are on board.
I don't know why you say that it would be good, but go ahead.
It would be a good milestone in impeaching Biden if he were guilty. Like, I'm just saying in terms of moving an impeachment along, it would be good for the impeachment movement. Not saying it's good for the nation or anything to impeach a president. But this way that it was done, yes, it's the same outcome of an impeachment inquiry, but it was done in a way that we didn't have a majority support in the House to do it. So it doesn't feel like momentum in the Biden investigation. It just feels like another cop-out kind of bullshit move. Like, I was excited for the investigation when they had the votes to do it, because that would have been a real impeachment inquiry. This feels like I've been robbed.
But why do you? But are you or are you not saying that you want an impeachment inquiry?
I want
Michael.
I want an impeachment inquiry.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're okay with, we don't have a smoking gun, but we're gonna open up an inquiry to have further powers to try to find the smoking gun, because you feel that there's enough information out there that's looks bad that it's all right to dig further and open up the full powers that we can.
So I am not familiar or married to this idea that you have to have the evidence. I mean, I just learned about this right now, and you're like, oh, all the impeachment inquiries have had evidence. I mean, I'm learning about that right now. So I don't know until this moment that matters. I just think there's enough shady seeming stuff going on, the stuff with the DOJ, the FBI, some of the stuff that even you've been like, well, that's kind of questionable. Like, I feel like there's a lot, and that it's very complex because it's Hunter and like the whole Biden family thing, and like they might just be being smart about it, and not enough people are coming forward to say anything because nothing's really strong. Like, but if this helps them get further into the investigation, yes, I support it.
My thing is, because that's persuasive if on its face, if that were really necessary, but I don't see why their regular oversight of Congress, because they have broad oversight powers to investigate. I would seem that they could already do
you don't know what this
all of those
them,
things,
right?
And they've already done this, and now they're opening an inquiry. And in theory, I guess it broadens a couple of things where you can do more. But I guess I feel like you ought to have more already. If you can't find anything with your regular oversight powers, which are quite broad, then that seems to be telling me something that there's probably not gonna be there.
Yeah.
So I can't fully answer that, and so I can't fully say if I'm 100% against this or not. I'm like at least 75 or 80 against it.
Yeah.
It's like not the end of the world, because again, I don't have anything to hide from. I don't think they're going to find anything.
I'm not. I'm not familiar with all the.
But it's annoying
little nuances of what they should or shouldn't do to get that information. Like, what if it's like the last? They're like, I know it's right behind that fucking door right there, but like this is the key. Like, I can't get that piece of info, but as soon as I do this, I have it, and I know it's right there. Like, I don't know
if that's the case.
Yeah,
because you don't know and I don't know.
Right.
But if that's the case, I agree with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do what you can do within the law to get at the truth and justice.
Yeah.
Right. But what I'm saying is, I feel confident that this is political fuckery.
Sure.
And I don't think that this is legitimate, and therefore I don't like playing games with the faith in our institutions and breaking another fucking precedent where we now impeach in ways that we never have before.
Inquiries over nothing.
We just launch inquiries to search and dig around.
Yeah.
And it almost, in a way, almost seems like, even though it's the president, it's like, at what point are we kind of like becoming lawless in a way? I guess it's not lawless, but it's almost like we're really just like gonna dig into, we don't even have like a probable cause sort of thing at this point, but we're gonna go and like in search of.
It's almost like everyone sues everyone now, right? Like that whole thing started where like everyone was suing everyone over everything. I feel like it's kind of similar. It's like, oh, I don't really need a reason. Like, I'm just gonna fucking impeach him and see, throw shit at him, see what sticks. Something might stick. He's got to have dirty laundry.
Not to play like whataboutism or to say that two wrongs make a right, but just while we're on the topic,
sometimes they do,
from a hypocritical standpoint.
Okay, I like these.
The amount of the things that the Trumps did, and the Kushners, his son-in-law and daughter's last name, I guess maybe that's not even her last name. What's his daughter's name?
Ivanka.
Yeah.
No, they call her Trump.
Yes, they call her Trump. I don't know what her legal. But anyway, the things that they have done and made money, like, first of all, like
the hotel thing came up, right?
Okay,
with
like
the Secret Service and
so
charging them.
They overcharge the Secret Service for their own hotels
Yeah.
while in office. That's Donald Trump himself. That's the president himself. Jared and Ivanka were in his administration, and right after his term ended, collected billions from the Saudis.
Yeah, like right after.
Okay. Also, there was the thing where right after they got some sort of branding deal from China, Trump made some move that benefited China or a Chinese corporation, and I think that was probably a coincidence because that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things where if it were, say, Biden, it would be, or and you know what I'm saying? Like, so many of the people that are just lost their mind about the Biden crime syndicate.
It sounds so cool,
It
though.
does sound great. They totally just like pretend as if we don't have like solid evidence of the Trumps making money off of the presidency. It's like bizarre. Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? And again, honest people will say we want both.
Just
honest
impeach
people
Trump.
So, anyway.
You say you were going to say.
so-
Honest people say you don't want Trump, and
Honest people could say I don't like either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm talking about the not honest people at the moment, or the people that try to find sort of justification in voting for Trump by saying Biden is so corrupt that, I might as well go the other way. Because some people do that in their minds, I think. And it gives them license to like support Trump when they really just want to fucking support Trump, but they're looking for like a justification. An out. Oh well, Biden is so.
I would hope people aren't justifying not voting for Biden just based on corruption. Like I would hope that that's not like your all in point, like your go or no go is like, well, I would love Biden if he wasn't so corrupt. Like that's. I would think more things like the economy and like the border, and there's other things that are like I think more justifiable in like there'd be more proof or more numbers or stats.
I don't know if I agree, but like I agree at least sort of like
on my list, like corrupt, like that. My order is not like corruption is my worst, and then these things. It would be like economy
because it's not really like a corruption where he has ever like. Cost the American people money, cost the American government money, sold us out, made a deal that was like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I would vote against Biden for a lot of reasons you might not agree with, but corruption's down here.
It's like not what you're thinking about. But for some people,
no, because Biden's or Trump's doing fucking shady ass shit too that he's actually in trouble for. So like
far more shady and corrupt, dude,
proven. Well, allegedly soon, maybe. Not even. It's not even proven.
There's so many things,
bro. When he gets off of these 4 things, you know how fucking
that's getting off. That's not actually being innocent.
2 impeachments.
We know he's getting off. Probably. We're talking about guilt and corruption and just being a horrible human being, from Trump University to fucking the women to. Everything. Obviously, January 6th, Ukraine phone call, Georgia phone call. I mean, it's horrible. It's just unlimited. But
it would be a tough argument to be like, I love Trump because of how not corrupt he is compared to Biden. Like that'd be a tough one. That shouldn't be on anybody's go no go decision right there.
But this is just they've just hyped up the whole Hunter thing from day one as just like
I don't even care about that anymore.
He's the most evil person ever, and it's just like all of this stuff.
The only reason I care about Hunter is because he's gonna fuck up the amazing like G level status his dad has for all of his financial. He's just a gangster. Like he's been collecting all this dough under the radar for 40 years or 60 years or whatever, and his son's gonna fuck it all up. It's the only reason I care about Hunter.
Oh shit! What was I gonna say? Something to do with
Pedro Pascal.
Oh
man.
no!
Oh,
I read an opinion article today, and apparently this guy is like this opinion columnist for the Washington Post is from what I understand like required reading by Biden's White House. like the staff are supposed to, I guess, like
What?
it sounds bad now that I said it out loud.
Is that a thing?
But I guess, yeah, I don't even know what that means. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know why that would be. But I guess he's just a respected thinker in Biden's realm. And but this guy
Does
himself,
he write his note cards for him?
No.
Oh.
This guy himself just wrote an article saying that Biden should not run for re-election.
Oh.
He was saying,
This is that Icarus guy or the
sounds about right.
Ignacio?
Sounds right, but it's something like that. But he just said, his biggest achievement was defeating Trump. And in this guy's viewpoint, he's had a successful presidency, that he's actually kind of been better than expected. Kind of like the old political hack that actually could and did some big things. But he has a problem with saying no. The article says he didn't say no, basically like to his son and some of the shit that he's done. He didn't say no to Pelosi going to Taiwan, which has created more international problems. He didn't say no to Kamala, who I didn't know until I read this article was like a colleague of his of Bo, which I didn't realize that. Didn't say no to her, but should say no to seeking re-election now because he is in danger of messing up what he did do, which was to defeat Trump, because he's very unpopular. She's even more unpopular. People aren't wrong to think that he's too old at this point to be able to go another 4 years, and that hopefully he's thinking seriously about not doing it, but that he only has a month or two to make that decision before it's too late for like the next person to be able to like test the waters and see if they have the mettle. So, and I agree with everything in the article.
So he Biden makes everyone read this fucking guy, and then they wake up this morning and they all have to read about how Joe should step down.
Yeah,
that's so awesome. Like, you guys got to read this fucking article that came out today. They said I'm a piece of shit and I should stop.
Yeah,
it's so good. But he should. He should. He should just go out guns a-blazing. Segue.
Wait. Oh, speaking of guns, good one. The New Mexico governor has lost her fucking mind.
Grisham.
And so she has issued an emergency order basically restricting people's right to carry arms, whether it be concealed or what have you.
Bear arms.
In Albuquerque and the surrounding county. And so she says, do we want to play some of this clip?
Do you want to play some of it? I got it.
So let's play some of this clip. I'll let you know when to stop. This is the governor of New Mexico, who has, again, she has said in Albuquerque for some limited amount of time, she is ceasing people's right under like the U.S. Constitution and their own state laws to consider concealing weapons or whatever way they normally can go about legally bearing arms in New Mexico under this emergency order.
For 30 days, right? I don't know.
Is that what it is? Is it 30 days?
It's 30 days at a time, but she says it's likely to be extended.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter in my view, but it's 30 days, I guess, initially. And so this is her answering questions, and she's very transparent about her fuccking. So let's hear this real quick.
Yeah.
You took
but your point is valid.
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional?
Yeah.
You took
but your point is valid. Yeah.
You took
but your point is valid.
Okay, let's go ahead and cut this.
But your point is valid.
Okay, so what she says is...
It's fucking skipping, man.
What she says is, well, the Constitution, none of our rights are absolute, which is true. And that, under her power as governor, she can issue like emergency, orders for a limited amount of time. and that this qualifies as an emergency because several like people that are not even adults have been, I guess, killed or harmed with guns in this area of Albuquerque in the last, I guess, several weeks or months. And at the end, she's even asked, do you think this is going to stop criminals from carrying guns? And she goes, no, I don't. And which is the argument that so many of, I guess, those of us that are pro Second Amendment always make. And she doesn't even argue that wouldn't be the case.
Right.
And so this is
what's going on.
And this is the thing where, I mean, this is authoritarianism. I mean, this is the worst of what any American should, expect. I mean, I know this is what, people complain about Trump's authoritarianism and going outside the law, outside the Constitution. But that's what she's doing. But apparently she feels that she has, it's one of those things where because there are law enforcement agents and so forth in New Mexico that are saying we're not going to enforce this. And she probably knows that, or certainly knows that now, but it doesn't matter to her because apparently this is politically good for her, which is horrible that we have people in America that are going to politically support some bullshit like this.
Yeah.
It's outside the law.
The sheriffs of the county said we are not going to enforce this. And then the state's attorney general was like, I'm not backing this at all. This is unconstitutional. Like, you're on your own here.
Yeah. Mean,
like, what the fuck? Yeah, man, I wish I'm bummed that the videos are fucking glitching out now because DeSantis jumped on here and had a bunch of shit to say about it too that I wanted to show.
Really?
Yeah.
And so I seen some right-wing voices saying, well, actually she can have an emergency powers. You don't always have to basically, go by the law. And those were coming from people that were not necessarily like bullshitting or just trying to make news or get attention. I mean, some people on the right, it's called the post-liberal right, believe in this sort of just like will to power. Like you get political power so that you can do what you want, rules and regulations be damned. It's all about gaining political power to impose your will on your opponents, whether it be social things like abortion or Christianity or getting rid of certain books or certain gay people or, like that's the thing. It's like this cuts both ways. And that's why, I mean, I hate the populism and authoritarianism and post-liberalism, which is what those things are.
It's just wild. I don't have much else to say about it. Like, yeah. I don't know how any. But is it in effect? It's not in effect, right? It's like announced or some shit. Like, I don't think this is ever actually going to happen. It can't. And she also said that. I mean,
it was announced, but you're right in the sense that apparently people aren't enforcing it. Fortunately, but the fact that a governor is doing it and apparently has political cover to do so by her party, and then voices on the other side is like scary. It's
pretty shocking. And then she also said this rule is not just for these counties. It's for anytime there's a criteria. If your county gets over, it's like 1,000 incidences or whatever per 100,000 people. I don't remember what the 1,000 to 100,000 was. Then this goes into effect 30 days. It's like a 30-day suspension. So like anytime your county is like a shitty average, 30-day suspension on your guns for concealed carry. And then that makes me think it's kind of like I think it's like padding the stats, because if my numbers go through the roof, now my year's only, I don't know what the timeline is on it, but like then my year is only 11 months instead of 12 months. So now my gun violence stats went like way down, right, for each year, because a month of it there was no gun violence because there were no guns, you would think, right? So now I'm like,
well, no, you wouldn't think, because wouldn't you still have criminals that still do what criminals do?
That wouldn't be the point of this. I'm saying, like, ideally, if you're banning all guns, it's because there's no gun violence and there was a decrease. So if that worked, then your stats are padded to look like per year you have less gun violence, when really if you added another month, it'd be higher. So it's all like really weird. Like, I don't know.
The point for me is just that there are people that are like, I don't care, because I agree emotionally with what she's trying to do, which is stop children from getting killed by guns, at least in theory, what she is saying. And I hate the fact that either side, on whatever issue, are willing to like not care about the rule of law if it suits their political agenda, and that's like a bad trend. And that's that's where we're at.
There's other things you could do if you really cared about the loss of the few kids' lives. Like there's other measures you could probably take other than some seemingly arbitrary ban on law-abiding citizens carrying concealed weapons. Like one of them was like a 13-year-old shot a 14-year-old. Well, like none of them had concealed carries, right?
So you don't know that a law-abiding citizen with a concealed weapon might not save the next situation. Like, you don't know.
Right. Now they had to leave their gun at home, and then they couldn't have stopped whatever. Like you saw the one in Texas forever ago. Every time this comes up, you see some videos of concealed carry people saving the day. And there was like some guy comes into a church with a shotgun, and immediately like 3 dudes dropped up, like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, why you do that in Texas, I have no idea.
Yeah, and then they sit back down and like, can we continue with the service? Just like done. But if they didn't all have their concealed weapons, that guy with the shotgun would have just fucking blasted a ton of people in the room. So I don't get.
And you will hear people say, well, all the Uvalde police officers had a gun.
They're also pussies.
Those good guys with the gun didn't stop the bad guys with the gun. And it's like, yeah, well, they stopped the real men who showed up with their guns from being able to actually go in.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
The police got in the way from the law-abiding citizens.
That's a debunked fucking idea. So, again, there's ways states have the power, to regulate guns to some degree within the Constitution. That's where she's correct that the Second Amendment and all rights are not absolute. Just because you have the right to bear arms doesn't mean you have the right to buy, a rocket launcher at Walmart if they were selling them. Like you don't. Like that's just correct. So they are not absolute. There are ways you can regulate it at the state level, but you can't do this. Just duh. And she knows that. I mean, there's no way this will hold up to constitutional muster, and she's already been challenged in the courts. But the fact that people don't care, it just upsets me.
People, it's not they don't care. It's that they're like justifying it. Like, oh, it's cool. She can do it.
Yeah.
Like it's even worse than indifference. Like you're like, this is my favorite. Let's do this. It's fucking nuts. I don't even know. Does the Constitution? This sounds like I'm on the other side here. I'm really not. Love guns. Does the Constitution allow you, or give you the right to conceal or open carry though, or just it's the verbiage is you have the right to bear arms. So I guess
no, it does not give you the right to open carry or conceal.
So is she taking away a constitutional right? I was always wondering.
Hold on. You don't have the right to open carry for sure. You
have the right to bear arms.
I think you have the right to conceal.
Yeah.
In most places, right? Even that can be further, like bars, no.
Yeah.
Courthouse, no.
Yeah.
So that's further restricted. So I think the Supreme Court has ruled, because New York, I think the state of New York tried to make it to where you could like conceal, or you could have a gun but it had to stay at your house. You couldn't go anywhere with it, and the Supreme Court struck that down. So open carry, no, there's not a constitutional right to that, but to conceal,
to carry in general, there is.
Yes.
In some way, you're allowed to have a gun on your person.
Yes.
Because that's the bear arms thing, right? Like you have the right to carry a gun. That's what it says.
Yes. And so she would be violating that. But even if, say, she was just saying you couldn't, even if not, I believe her own state constitution, she's violating as well under this emergency, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I'm saying is people like to abuse that. Like, it is true that there are circumstances where the executive has a expanded powers under emergency, whatever, but it becomes very broad, and this becomes a thing where this is not like, that's not going to count. You can't.
They declare anything an emergency and say, I can do this. It's like the student debt forgiveness, like we're doing this under an emergency.
Right. And that's another example of the Democrats being authoritarian, or, what I would call authoritarian, being outside the rule of law when it suits them. Mm-hmm. So it makes it hard to go after the right for sometimes being that way, because because he does that, as you said. I mean, he with the student loan thing, or with like, say, I think there's other examples of stuff that he's recently tried to do or has done.
Yeah. Probably some climate bullshit.
I think so, actually. But
pipelines or something.
So speaking of the Constitution, before we wrapped up today's conversation, I wanted to tell you I goofed up something when it came to how we elect the president if no one gets a majority of the electoral votes. We talked about how it gets kicked to the House of Representatives.
Okay. I don't even remember this.
You will in a moment.
Okay.
We talked about how, like, if there is, say, a third party, you know, because this year, I mean, there is still that whole what's that one party or that one organization that's like potentially going to mount a presidential.
No labels.
Because they're currently like looking into how they're going to pick this potential ticket of Republican and Democrat on the same no label ticket, because they've got to come up with, are we going to just do it as our own group? We just select them. Are we going to put it to a vote somehow online? They're trying to figure that out right now because they're still thinking it's going to be Biden and Trump. And if it is Biden and Trump, they say they're going to put a third party.
Does anybody get to vote? Like, would I get to go in there and vote? I guess they would have. They should open it up.
This would be their party, so it's like a matter of, are they going to just
have to register to their party though? Because like I might if it's between Trump and Biden. You know, like I would think they wouldn't want to exclude it to just their party right now because they're trying to get more people in their party.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it. That's what they're trying to figure out. Because there's no rule that says parties have to put it up for a vote. They could just pick someone if they wanted to. We've evolved to where we vote in primaries, but like you don't have to per se. So
but you're actually against.
Point being, if no candidate gets a majority of the electoral votes, that's 270. They don't get to 270. It goes to the House. Okay. And so I had said that each state votes, like all the delegates or all the representatives that serve each state in the House, vote within their caucus, like within their state's delegation, and whatever majority says gets those states' electoral votes. But in fact, and I knew this and like gaffed it up, forgot, whatever, each state gets one vote. So there's 50 total votes.
Okay.
So whatever a majority of that state delegation votes in favor of, whatever person they want, gets the one vote from that state, not the electoral.
You could go 25-25 again.
You could. They would have to do as many ballots as it takes to come to a resolution.
This is like some Survivor shit.
Yeah, exactly. Backroom, horse trading, that sort of thing kind of starts happening. And they got to come to some sort of resolution.
And then we as a country think everything is fake and fraud and everyone fucked it up because they were hiding behind us and we didn't even vote.
Yes.
Bro, that would be mayhem today. If that happens, mayhem. Both sides, mayhem. Chaos. All the cities burned.
Yeah.
Not one stands.
So I just wanted to clear that up for the record.
All right. Well, sorry for the technical issues this time. I'm still working on it. We're going to have it fixed for next show. We'll have more clips. We had more planned, and I fucked it all up. Sorry, guys. You get what you pay for.
This is free, bitch. All right, Mike. Have a good trip.
Thanks, man.
See you.
Bye.
That's why you listen to Wing Radicals.
Yeah, true.